Hello and welcome to this week's video tutorial, Photoshop for Beginners. In this week's episode, we're going to learn how to make a makeup advert in the style of a Maybelline advert using 3 different pictures and layering them up, so compositing the pictures. And then we're going to apply a few simple selection tools such as the marquee tool and the magic wand tool to select the bits of the photos we want. We're going to add a very simple gradient and layer effect, and then we're going to start to add some text with some kind of drop shadow to it. And what we're going to do is we're going to use these 3 images that we have on screen here. So this image of the model, some image of some lipstick, and an image of a city. And we're going to turn those into something like this. So let's get started. First of all, let me close all these down. So to start, what we're going to do is we're going to open up Photoshop. And once Photoshop's open, we're going to have to download the images we need and open them up within it. So if we go to File and then Open, and then navigate to where you've downloaded the images to, and I've got them in my download folder here, and I've got, there we go, Beauty, New York City and Girl. So highlight all 3 of them and click Open, and Photoshop will open all those up. Now I'll probably open them up tabbed, as we can see here. That's okay to start with, but I always prefer to kind of drag them out into their own window, so you can kind of navigate around your workspace as you see fit. And I'm going to use the navigator window here on the top right hand corner. I'm going to move the little slider bar to make it a bit smaller, and then I'm going to resize each window accordingly. There we go. Fantastic. Right, so once you've resized your images, or if you're happy working with them tabbed, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by focusing on the picture of our model. So let's bring that over here. This is where we're going to import the other images into, and we're going to layer them up within here, because our model photo is already the dimensions that we want, so we're quite happy with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is, because at the minute we've just got the one layer, and that's the background layer, which is everything we see here. And you'll notice on mine it's got a little padlock next to it, which means that the layer's locked. For ease of use, I'm just going to left click that, and then duplicate the layer and click OK. So now we've got a layer that we can edit here that's exactly the same as the background layer, so it's got everything in it. First thing we're going to have to do is we're going to go over to our New York City, and we're going to go select all. Then we're going to go edit and copy, so we're copying everything in the picture of New York City. We're going to go back to our model photograph, and we're going to paste that in. So go edit and paste, and you'll see that it makes a new layer now, layer 1, and that's our New York City layer. First thing we're going to do, as we can see when it's pasted it in, is that at the minute the image is a bit too small. It doesn't fill the thing, it doesn't fill the whole composition. So what we're going to do is we need to go to edit, transform, and scale. And once that's done, you'll see around the corners and in the midpoints of the New York photo, the image, we've now got some squares. What we can do is we can resize the image by clicking and holding down on one of the corner squares and dragging out to resize that image. Now if we hold down shift while we do this, it keeps the image in proportion, which is what we want. We don't want the image showing out of proportion, because then it'll look all stretched and fake. So very important, while you click and hold the corners, hold down the shift key and it'll make it proportional for you. When we're done resizing it, that's looking okay. I might just resize it a little bit more, so it's the exact size of the picture. There we go. Press return or enter on your keyboard, and that will just tell transform that we're done resizing it, and that's fine. So next thing we can do is, if you go to the left hand side to your toolbar, you'll see at the top there's a little compass with an arrow. This is our move tool. If you haven't already got it selected, select it now, and then drag around to your New York City photo so that it's sitting firmly in the center of the frame with these lovely 2 white lights beaming up into the sky. There we go, and that's nice and central. If you remember before, when we've looked at photograph techniques, we've talked a lot about balance and making sure that stuff is nicely balanced in the frame. So that's perfect, excellent. Now at the moment we can only see the New York City layer. Obviously we can't see the girl underneath, so what we need to do is, if we click on our model, click down in layers on background copy layer, okay, which is the layer of the model's portrait. We can see from a little preview here. With that clicked, drag that up above the New York City layer, and you'll see now we've got the model, then New York City is layer 1, and then the model again on the bottom. Click on the top layer, which is the model background copy, and what we're going to do is we need to select this white background, and we need to get rid of it so that we can see New York City behind it. So to do this, we're going to use the magic wand tool. If you go back over to the toolbar on the left hand side and go down, and you see this wand looking thing here. If you click there, you'll see there's the magic wand tool. So we're going to select that. The way the magic wand works is if you click any part of your image, it will select the color pixel that you've clicked on, and all the other adjoining pixels of the same or similar color. Depending on what you've got your tolerance set to, it will select, you know, a certain amount of similar colors, or not very much if the tolerance is set very low. So we're going to select this white background. So with magic wand selected and the background copy layer selected, we're going to click on the white, and there we go. We can see a dotted line appears around everything we've selected. However, there's one little bit in between the finger and her neck and cheek. We've got a bit of white here. So to do that, what we have to do is hold down Shift, and with Shift held down, left click on that area there. And now that's added it to the selection. Now, we can either press backspace on our keyboard, and that will get rid of it, or edit and clear. So what we've done now is we've deleted that white area from the photo, and we've just got our model in. Perfect, excellent stuff. So what we do now is go select and then deselect. And now we're back to editing the whole image. Fantastic. The next thing, now we've got New York City and that's all done, we can close down that separate image. So we're going to close that down. And we're going to go to our makeup over here. Now what we want to do next is select the makeup itself, so a bit of the lipstick, and we're going to copy that over into our main composition over here. To do this, rather than using the magic wand tool, we're going to use the marque select tool, which is this square of dotted lines. So click that to select it, and then move over, and we're just going to click, hold down, and drag over the part of the image we want to select. So we can see now that if I zoom in, so it's a bit clearer, we can see I've got this dotted line around the area I've selected there of the makeup, and that's what I want. I just want this end piece of lipstick. So now that we've selected that area, I'm going to copy it. So I go edit, copy, and go back into our composition over here of the woman with New York in the background. And once again, I'm going to go to edit and paste, and that's going to paste the lipstick in. Now, once again, just like with the New York background, it's not quite the right size yet. So what I need to do here is I need to, once again, go to Edit, Transform, and Scale. And once again, select one of the corner dots, hold down Shift, and resize this makeup till it's an appropriate size. And yeah, that'll do. That's a little bit oversized. And I'm going to press Return when I'm done. And then just move that over there to the corner. Fantastic. Okay, now at this point you might want to select New York, and you might want to kind of mess around with your background and move it around so that you can see the bits of the image you want to see. There we go. That's looking okay. That'll do for me. So now we've got our basic composition. We've got the model in the center, we've got the lipstick off to the right of the image, we've got New York in the background. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a nice gradient to the image that's going to tie all of these three elements together. And the way we're going to do that, first of all, we're going to just sample a bit of the colour of our image here. I'm just going to drag this across because I can see there's a bit of orange in the clouds here. So what I want to do is I'm going to create a coloured gradient, but I want to kind of sample some of the colours within the picture. So first of all, down here on the toolbar at the bottom, you see there's two different kind of swatches of colour. We've got the white at the minute, and we've got a kind of blue colour. I'm going to double click the white, and then with that open, we can now pick a new colour. I can either click and drag in here, but what I want to do, if I hold my cursor over the image, you'll see it turns into a small pipette icon. Wherever I click on my image, that's going to select the colour that I click on. So I'm going to move it onto this orange cloud, give it a click, and you see now it's selected the colour of those clouds. And click around, we can see if I click different things, it selects different colours. So, there we go, I'm going to click that orange there. There we go. Perfect. So, with that selected, I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to double click the the purpley colour in the background. I'm going to select that light colour there. There we go. So I've using the little pipette tool, clicked on the kind of the bright blue light that's shooting up into the sky to select that colour. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a new layer. Above all of these, I'm going to make a new layer. So I'm going to go up to Layer, New, and Layer. Click OK. So that's Layer 3. I'm going to make sure Layer 3 is on the top of all the other layers. And if it's not, I'm going to make sure that I've dragged it up to the top by clicking and holding and dragging it up the top. Then I'm going to move over to my toolbar over here. And over here you'll see this gradient square. If I click and hold, there's normally, you might see the paint bucket tool there. If you see a paint bucket, click and hold on paint bucket and you'll see it also says gradient tool. Select gradient tool. With that selected, I'm going to click and drag over there. And it draws a line down my page. Now at the minute all we can see is that colour, but that's fine. We're going to go over to the layers over here and there's a little drop down menu that says normal. This is the layers blending mode and it controls how this layer interacts with the layers beneath it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to click that, and you can click any of these options and you'll see how it starts to change it. We've got darken there, multiply, colour burn, nice screen, whoa, colour dodge. I think the one I'm going to want is hue down here. So if I click hue, there we go. Excellent stuff. So we've got our hue selected as the blending mode there, and we can see that it's tied all the layers together in kind of its own kind of unique colour scheme now, which looks very nice. What I'm going to do, just because it's bugging me, I'm going to select layer 1, which is my New York picture. I'm going to click the move tool over here, which is the compass arrow, and I'm just going to realign this how I wanted it. There we go. Yeah, that'll do. I'm just messing now. I'm tinkering for too long. Next thing we need to do, now we've kind of got the graphical image side as we want it, and we've got our basic composition. We can still move these around if we need to, like I've just done with New York. I could also move the lipstick around if I've got the move tool selected and the lipsticks layer. Move that around. I'm quite happy with where it was, to be honest. Next thing we need to do now is add text. So what we're going to do is over here on the left hand side on the toolbar you'll see a T, and that's T for text. So if we click text, at the minute it's going to type out text in the colour brown. We don't want that, so up here at the top you'll see this brown colour. Double click that and we're going to make that white. If you click and drag out a box on your image, there we go, this is where we're going to type. So we've created a box now, and when we type on our keyboard, so I'm going to type Maybell on my keyboard there, then it will type it out on the screen. Now if you're not happy with the font, just highlight your text, and up here on the toolbar at the top you'll see at the minute it says imprint MT shadow. For me that's the type of font that we're using, but if you click that you'll see there's many other types of font. We could use Wingdings, obviously, it's not quite the one we want, Lithos Pro, and you'll see that all the different types of font have their own unique kind of character, mood and style. We've got to find the one that we're most happy with, really. So I'm going to come back. I'm not really happy with that, so I'm just going to take a step back on my thing. There we go. And we'll go back to, I think I had it engravers, wasn't it? Imprint MT shadow. There we go. So now I've typed out my text. If I want to make it bigger, I click the text size up here. At the minute it says 240 point. Yours might say 20 point. It might say 120 point. This is to do with the size of it. Kind of type in the size you want. I'm going to go 200. I'm going to go 300 point. There we go. If this happens, then it means that the text box isn't big enough to contain it, and all you need to do is hover your mouse over one of the squares along the edges and drag that out, and we'll see that there you go, we've resized the box. At the minute the text is indented to the left, so that means it's kind of pushing up against the left hand side of the text box. If we wanted to align it directly in the center of where we're drawing the text box, up at the top here we'll see there's three little icons. We've got left align text, center text and right text. I'm going to choose center text to make it perfectly aligned to the center. And if I wanted to move it around, I could use the move tool once again, just like we would on any layer. There we go. Now at the minute, it kind of blends into the background a bit for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a blending mode to the layer where I'm going to add a drop shadow so that it kind of, there's just a faint black smudged outline behind the text to set it apart from the background. To do this, I make sure I have my text layer in the layers menu selected down here. And then I'm going to go up to layer, layer style, and then I'm going to select drop shadow. Now once I've got that clicked, it's going to come up with lots of different options here. We can still see the make bell. At the minute, the blending modes multiply. The opacity, that's how see-through it is 75. If I take it up to 100, it's not really very see-through. If I take it all the way down to 10 or 11 or 0, it's really, really see-through. And you can see that kind of mirrored down here in the preview box. Drag that across, we can see. We've also got distance, spread and size settings. The distance is how far away from the center of the object the drop shadow is. I'm going to move it down to 0, so it's dead center. Then I'm going to move the spread up, and we'll see how that black outline's a bit more defined now. And then I'm going to move the size up. With that selected now, I'm going to take the opacity down a little bit. There we go. Just enough so that it does separate it out from the background a little bit. And I'm going to click OK. There we go. I'm going to drag that down a little. I'm quite happy with the composition there. Fantastic. Right, so that's how we've added our first bit of text. What we might do now is we might need to add the collection that the makeup's from. I'm going to name this one the New York collection, just because I think that's New York in the background. I might be wrong though. So once again, I'm going to click T for text, drag out a box, and I'm going to type New York collection. Now, that's all disappeared off, so once again I'm going to resize my box. And with this font, because it's not the main font's the brand name at the top. That's the main piece of information, not font, sorry. I'm going to take the size of it down. So at the minute it's 300 point. I'm going to set it to 150 point. No, we'll set it to 200 point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select where it says collection. We can see at the minute it's just saying collection. That's because it's obviously getting cut off halfway through. So what I'm going to do, rather than resizing, I'm going to press return just to make that a new line. And there we go. And let's drag that down. And once again, I'm just going to go layer, drop shadow, drag that up, and we can see. Once again, distance 0, move the spread up, and we'll move the size up, and we'll move the opacity down a little bit. And we'll keep the opacity up for this one. And then using the move tool, I'm just going to align that once again, dead center next to my makeup there. And there we go. Once that's done, obviously we need to save our image in an appropriate format. You can either save it as a PSD file so that you keep all of your layer information. So I'm going to File, Save As. Or if you're ready and that picture's all done, we could save it as a JPEG or a PNG. I always like PNGs, so I'm going to save it as a PNG. And I'm just going to call this something that makes sense. So I'm going to call it Maybell New York collection. There we go. And save that to my desktop. And we click Save. And we can choose None from the interlace options and click OK. And there we go. As simple as that, guys. There's other things that you can obviously do you might want to do some airbrushing on your model. You might want to change some of the colours of the image. That's absolutely fine as well. That's fairly easy to do. You might want to make your gradient a different set of colours rather than pulling colours from the background like I did. You might want to pick something completely different. That's fine as well. But when you're ready, log on, download the images and get going, and I'll look forward to seeing some of your posters. Thank you very much.